Bill Maher called out CNN's Caitlin Collins on the network's bias. Let's watch.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into laughter.
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And
I'm talking about the people on CNN. And what I know what the conservative side of America thinks, and I don't blame them. They were just gushing about how great a speech it was. And I think she did fine. I didn't think it was as good as they were making it out to be. It does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. In a way, I feel like it's more insulting than what Trump does. And Trump says you're the enemy of the people, which is pretty bad. But she's kind of saying I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse than I hate you. It's like I don't think about you.
I don't know if it's worse than denigrating the press on a daily basis, which is what Donald Trump did.
Why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
you
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple you're a nasty person. I'll tell you.
All right, let's dive right into this explosive clash between Bill Maher and CNN's Caitlin Collins. Bill Maher, a figure who's practically synonymous with polarizing commentary, has once again sparked outrage, and this time his target is CNN's undisguised bias.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into laughter. Look, I'm on CNN now. I guess we're on it right now. I mean, they show this show the next night. I don't know how we get away with it with all the fucks, but they do. And all these dirty jokes. But I'm glad, and I'm a big rooter for CNN. But that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you are doing in that arena of like, this is a terribly divided country. We're not only politicized. A lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch. How do you think you're doing with that?
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And I think, my show is evidence of that. We have lawmakers on from both parties. We'll have Elizabeth Warren on one night. We'll have Ted Cruz.
We're talking about a network that's become infamous for molding narratives to fit a certain agenda, something Maher is sick and tired of.
Is it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I'm
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No,
so recently, Maher called out Collins for her gotcha tactics during interviews, especially when it comes to handling Trump. A man who, like him or not, knows how to dodge a media trap better than most.
That environment wasn't just created by Donald Trump.
Okay, but can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence that's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally Hitler every day for 9 years, it creates it.
Okay.
Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to Hitler as well. He questioned if he was America's Hitler.
This isn't merely about taunting Trump, though. It's about fairness, about journalism abandoning its principles in favor of juicy headlines and higher ratings.
There was what you'd have to call some sort of media suppression of Hunter Biden's computer right before the election.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Okay,
and the truth is, I still don't know what I think about that. And sometimes,
right.
But I mean, to actually parse everything in there and figure out just how dirty Biden Sr. is as a result of the information there.
Can I go to step two? But nothing really. It was common. It was the kind of sort of everyday graft that's sleazy, but doesn't affect the world. Probably.
Yes.
Hunter Biden sold his father's influence to get money. But Joe Biden himself would not give away our nuclear secrets to the Chinese. He's not, he has a soft spot for his son, his ne'er-do-well, stupid.
I mean, you've heard his voicemails to his Hunter.
So, like, Dad, I'm in a little bit of a jam. Could you just meet with the Chinese guy next week? It would mean a lot to me. And Joe would do it. And then and then Hunter would get the.
Maher's argument isn't just some casual dinner table chat. It's a call out against a media system that's obsessed with narratives rather than truth. You know, CNN may have once been a beacon of balanced reporting, but those days seem kind of in the rearview mirror now. Maher, with his sharp commentary, is peeling back the facade and daring viewers to view it from his lens. Context, accountability, and seeking the full picture. So listen, if you're someone who likes content that challenges the narrative, you've just got to hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, I'll wait. Did you do it? Awesome. Welcome to the club. Now let's keep going. Well, folks, now let's get into the core of the matter. A real tension-filled showdown between Bill Maher and Caitlin Collins that's caused quite the stir. You know, it's one thing to talk about media bias in abstract terms, but it's a whole different ballgame when you're seeing it unfold live. And that's exactly what Bill Maher did, taking center stage to challenge the very foundations of CNN's reporting practices. So here's what happened. Maher, known for his ability to address uncomfortable truths, met Collins in an interview that quickly escalated into a no-holds-barred critique session.
I'm sorry, but she's only a star with leftists, and the fact that she has some roots in Alabama does not make her a fair and balanced reporter. I will submit to the record, her biggest sin is not that she is biased, though she is, it's that she's boring. She's extremely boring with no personality. I have a pro tip for her. Smile. Try smiling every once in a while. Try not to be, like, in your delivery, such a cold-hearted all the time, because it gives people nothing to bond to. You can be a tough interviewer and also have some...
He didn't just take light jabs. He went straight for the jugular by accusing CNN of manipulation and bias, saying, in essence, that they've strayed far from journalism's ideals. Remember when news used to be about reporting facts? It seems like Maher is saying those days might be slipping away. Maher started by zeroing in on an interview Collins conducted with Trump, highlighting how it wasn't about understanding or informing the public, but rather trapping Trump into saying something that could be spun negatively. Now, love or hate him, you have to admit, Trump knows his way around a verbal spar. But Maher wasn't just calling out Collins for being tough, he was calling her out for being part of a bigger problem, the reduction of interviews to mere sound bites and gotcha moments that lead nowhere productive.
Stephen Colbert had on Caitlin Collins from CNN, obviously talking about how terrible Trump is and what a terrible job he's doing and how Kamala Harris has all the momentum and all of that sort of thing. But that's not the interesting part of the clip. The interesting part of the clip is that Stephen Colbert says, in perfect seriousness, with a straight face, that the legacy media are objective. That CNN is objective, and listen to the reaction of the crowd. Again, this is a crowd who opts into viewing The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which means that they are all on the left.
Trump has kind of been thrown on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes a... I know
Was that supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Okay, that is an incredible admission, number one, by Stephen Colbert.
Collins, trying to maintain her composure and professionalism during this confrontation, seemed somewhat unprepared for Maher's directness.
Your predecessor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who presided over many novel press access restrictions, criticized the recent changes to the press pool made by your office. She said in an interview, quote, what we're looking at is what North Korea is doing. What's your response to that? And can you say anything to allay concerns that unfavorable coverage will be punished in this new press pool system?
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example. This president is taking far more questions than his predecessor, Joe Biden, did on a daily basis, and that will continue.
Let me tell you, it's not every day you see someone in the mainstream media being held accountable right to their face on issues they usually sidestep. Maher rattled off instances where CNN, in his view, chose to prioritize sensationalism over substance. He cited how news about Trump and even President Biden wasn't being covered fairly, stating that the network was fixated on negativity toward one party while ignoring shortcomings in the other. Maher's critique didn't stop at content either. He went further, arguing that the media's selective reporting was contributing to political divisiveness in the country. He painted a picture where CNN, by playing favorites, was not just skewing public perception, but actively fueling division, stoking the fires of partisan hatred. It's this very divisiveness that Maher claims is harming the nation, making this discussion not just about Trump or CNN, but about the bigger picture of American politics.
And it's not just the Democrat Party. The mainstream media still doesn't get it. Last night, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer into an attack on the president over January 6th. And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The Democrats were. And CNN was proven wrong by their own viewers, 69% of whom, in a post-speech poll, said they had a positive reaction to the president's speech. It's sad and frankly pathetic that Democrats and liberals in the legacy media continue to allow their hatred for the president to override their love for our country. But nevertheless, the president will continue to unify this nation through policies that are grounded in common sense and that uplift all Americans.
You see, Bill Maher is not just throwing these comments around lightly. He's making a call for accountability, demanding that the media recognize their role in shaping public opinion and take responsibility for their actions. It's a powerful stance, especially in an era where trust in media is dwindling, and viewers are left wondering who, if anyone, they can rely on for the truth. Collins, to her credit, did push back, defending her role by saying that tough questioning is part of her job, a point that's fair enough in itself. But Maher countered that there's a line between tough journalism and actively trying to tear someone down for ratings. And boy, did this resonate with the audience. People watching were likely nodding along, or maybe even vehemently agreeing, thinking, finally, someone's saying what we've all been thinking. And can you imagine the pressure on Collins at that moment? Sitting there with Maher calling out not just Todd and her, but her entire network, a network that prides itself on integrity and fairness. Yet here was one of its top anchors being grilled for those very values. Collins did her best to maintain the upper hand, attempting to pivot the conversation by highlighting how they've covered various topics objectively. However, Maher wasn't having it. He pointed out specific episodes and coverage that he believed contradicted her defense. Take, for instance, when Maher brought up the network's handling of the Hunter Biden story. Oh, everyone remembers that, right? The emails, the scandal, the kind of juicy stuff news outlets live for. Yet Maher argued that CNN treated it with a blasé attitude compared to how they feast on rumors surrounding Trump. This glaring imbalance, as he noted, only added fuel to the fire of those critiquing mainstream media's credibility. At this point, you've got to wonder, where do Collins and CNN draw the line? Where does accountability start? Maher pushed these questions hard, essentially saying that if media organizations don't start self-reflecting, they'll only continue to drift away from what news should be. A factual recounting that informs, not inflames. This debate, if you can call it that, shone a spotlight on much bigger issues than just a single network or anchor. It begged viewers to ask themselves, what do I really know about what's happening in the world, and how much of it is simply a narrative someone chose for me? And wow, that's a loaded question in times like these. At the heart of Maher's message was a simple yet powerful idea. If media outlets like CNN want to retain any sense of credibility, they need to start showing it. They must rise above the convenience of sound bites and return to meaningful, balanced journalism. It's a tall order, sure, but one that plenty of viewers, and clearly Maher, believe is long overdue. And, it's not just about blasting one network. Maher's criticism applies universally across media, urging them to either step up their game or face public scrutiny. Right now, it's a dicey moment in history for news organizations. Either they adapt and regain trust, or they continue down a path that alienates their own audience. Maher's point was well made, as you could probably feel the tension in the air, almost like everyone was holding their breath, anticipating what Collins would say next. In moments like this, it's easy to see how critical and challenging it can be to address these failures head-on, without descending into personal attacks. Maher managed to walk that fine line, sticking to the principles he believes in while not shying away from controversy. So, what do you think, folks? Maher versus Collins. Was it just a spat between media personalities, or does it signal something bigger about journalism today? I'd love to hear your take on it, so drop a comment below with your thoughts. Let's keep this conversation going.